Right now, we're talking a little bit of high school football here on the Pigskin Preview, and with us is Boylan head football coach John Caccitore. Hey, Coach, good to have you on today.
Pleasure to be here, guys. How are you?
Good. Hey, when you look back on this is your third year at Boylan. Does it seem possible that it's 3 years now?
Good question. It seems like at times it's been longer than that. At other times it feels like it just happened. I can say, more than ever after the 3 years, I think we're probably a little bit more comfortable as a group working together. But depending on the time of year it is, sometimes it seems like time has slowed down. Other times, like I said, it feels like it just happened. And we're brand new doing this.
What's the advantages of being a third-year coach instead of that first-year coach? Are you, like you said, you're able to get everything put into gear, right?
Well, there's good and bad. Back in that first year, we didn't know what we didn't know. And the second year, we figured out all the things we didn't know. So we're hoping to be able to put things together this time through with a little more conciseness and a little more organization and a little more purpose to it, and hopefully it creates a better product on the field.
When you look at it, I was looking down your roster and I saw some key players that are gone from last year, guys that are just really good guys. Zach Matthews, who was the defensive player of the year in the Nick 10, and also
right.
Brock Stahl, who was a lot of
right.
the leadership and stuff. Is it hard to replace two guys like that?
I don't know if you can replace two guys like that. Zach was good for us in all facets of the football game, and certainly we wish him all the best. And like I said, we've got guys who have some experience playing in those positions. I don't know if anybody can play quite the way Zach did. When it comes to guys like Brock, who has an overall knowledge of everything we're doing as a quarterback, and then excels because he's 6'4" and he runs a 4.6 and he's got great hands and he's male athlete of the year. How do you replace that guy? Maybe you need three guys to replace that guy. So we're hoping we got a handful of people that by group can replace any one of them. And what we talk to the kids about is, it's no matter what happens, it's not about any one guy. Although individuals certainly stand out, we've got to get everyone to kind of make a fist together before we can do anything well.
And, having been around Brock Stahl in both football and basketball, I know he's a pretty good leader, too. It's hard to replace leadership like that, too. And then, he made the ultimate last year as a player. He stepped down from the glamour spot and went out and did whatever you told him to do.
Yeah, you couldn't ask for anything more there. And you gave him the job we gave Zach, I think, having him play both sides of the ball. Yeah. It's not easy to split time. I know it sounds a little strange at the high school level that it's such a big deal to play both ways, but Zach played at such an intensity level that because he was always going all out on defense, it was sometimes hard for him to come over on offense because he was being asked to do so much. And Brock, like you said, to have a quarterback step into another role, and now I've gained a second leader. That was a part of our plan at the beginning last year. We knew both guys were going to be on the field, but we just didn't know exactly what the chemical makeup was going to be. And as it turned out, the brew turned out pretty good between he and Demery.
And then you talk about Demery Croft. He's back this year, probably the top player in the area, maybe the state, and in the Nick 10. What does it mean to have him on your side of the football this year?
Well, what we try to explain to him is that all this talk, all the wonderful things that have come with the recruiting process simply mean that the target on his back, the target on his head is even greater. Everyone's going to want to measure themselves against Demery's arm if you're playing defense. Everyone's going to want to see if they can get a sack on that kid. And so we have really tried to get him polished up. We've been lucky that while he's gone through this recruiting process, he's been able to get to a lot of camps and be around a lot of really good coaches. And he is a more polished player. But just like we talked about with Brock and with Zach, if we are running the Demery Croft show on our end, we're not doing so well. So it's not going to be about just Demery. It's about the rest of the guys, and can we get them up to speed. We know what we get with Demery. We know he can throw. We know he's a good athlete. He can run fast. But if it's all on Demery, it's really easy for the defense to shut one person down. There's not a coach around that wouldn't say, boy, I hope they have just one good person that we have to shut down, because that's an easier job defensively. So it's really about the rest of the guys and the supporting cast that we put around him, and then we'll find out if we've got the guys in the stalls to do that.
For you as a coach and for Demery as a player, is it good to have this all done and put aside, and now he can concentrate on the football?
Yes, unequivocally, yes.
Yeah, let's look at offense. Who's going to be helping out Demery this year? Who are some of the guys you're going to be counting on helping him out?
Well, it starts, I think, with the quarterback position, as you know, is unique because it, more than anything else, relies on the blockers who take care of him to keep him upright. the receivers to get downfield, get open, and still catch the ball. And then you still need, every quarterback needs a good running game. So we've got a handful of guys that are coming back on the offensive line, the guys that started all season for us last year, or rotated and were a constant rotator throughout the course of the season. So we feel good about some of those guys up front. Sean Martin, Chris LeMay, and Bill Clark are all guys that are doing really nicely for us up front. In the backfield, we've got a host of guys back there. Matt Schmay and Sam McGuire and Jermaine Goldsmith are guys that will all see some time back there. And then the guys on the outside, Ryan Stanisek and Nick Nowonski were consistent players for us last year. We've got a couple of other guys that we've got to break in. Steve Herrick comes to mind. And again, no matter how many names I throw at you, they still have to figure out every play, all 11 guys at the same time, and execute really well. We're hoping that we can, smooth out all the rough edges, and we have it looking sharp by Friday.
Defensively, who are you counting on? You lose a guy like Matthews who had a lot to say about defense. Who's out there that's going to help out this year?
Same kind of thing. I think Ian Riggs is another one that was just next to impossible to replace. But we're lucky where we've got a couple of guys that got a lot of time last year, starters that are coming back. Tony Billich is a defensive tackle. Deshaun Sullivan is a defensive tackle. So we feel like at least we have experience there. I don't know if you can ever, like I said, replace a guy like Riggs pound for pound, because he was pretty dynamic. The same goes with Matthews, but around Matthews last year was 2 juniors, and with those 2 juniors, we now have coming back 2 seniors in Sam McGuire and Zach Anderson, and as we've mentioned, the Goldsmith kid was a player for us last year. Schmay was a starter on the defense last year, and Stephen Hewitt. So we've got experienced kids coming back, and they kind of filled roles for us. It's going to be up to them to do the job of taking over the senior leadership while we break in some other juniors during the course of the season.
Special teams has always been something that Boylan has excelled in, and last year I happened to see that Belvedere North game, the regular season game. Goldschmidt runs back a punt for a touchdown. That turned out to be a big play in the game, even though it was early. How's the special teams look this year?
Well, there again, now we're breaking a new kicker. We've got a junior kicker in Justin Knopf, and we think he's got a good leg, but this is his first time going through everything, so we think we're okay in the kicking game. And if we can keep healthy, we think we'll be okay in all of our coverage game, because those are some of our better players that we put on those coverage teams. And then that comes down to, there's just a couple of little fine details when it comes to the return game. So we're always hoping for magic in a bottle when it comes to those kinds of plays. And the kids we put back there, you'll see Jermaine back there. You might see a Marco Semino back there. Stanisek you might see back there, all guys who will return punts or kicks for us.
When you look at your schedule to start the year, you start out with Auburn, Hononegah, Harlem, and Guilford. Wow, that's really a lot of beef up there to start the season.
I didn't make the schedule, and I don't know if I could have, if I would have built it quite that way. But what we've come to find out is that it puts a lot of pressure on us to perform right away. You don't have to worry about the guys not being focused during the first part of the season, or wondering, is it this game or is it that game? Every one of those teams you mentioned are playoff teams, recent playoff teams, or teams that have a lot invested. They are teams that have gotten considerably better over the years. I think this is one of the best years across the board for the conference that I've seen. I think even as you get go past the Guilford game, there's no joke left on the schedule from that point on. So we've got our hands full. It's a huge test for us to get kids to get up each and every week, and we'll see how we do starting Friday.
Harlem just added a new turf field, and when we talked to Tim Shagro at Hononegah, we asked him about them getting a turf field. He says, no, we're going to try to turn our grass field into something positive for us, because everybody else is going to be used to be playing on the turf field. Is that how you see it at Boylan, too?
Well, if you ask Paul Heitkamp around here or Jerry Kerrigan, they take meticulous care of the grass around here. Mm-hmm. It is in great shape right now, and I think there is a certain advantage that comes with the home field, and half our games as a result are going to be played on grass. The other half will be played on some turf. Our kids like it in both cases. They like being able to play on the grass at home. They like being able to get the experience on the turf. I think it's good that you do both, because at playoff time there's no guarantee that you're going to be playing on turf. The one thing I always like about turf is that playoff time, that it eliminates the mud factor.
Yeah.
It kind of creates a balanced field that way. But for us, again, we're accustomed to practicing on grass and playing on grass, and we'll operate that way. It won't matter one way or another to us.
Before I let you go, I know that you always have goals, but your goals have usually been win the first one and then worry about the second one. Same theory this year?
The goals have been simply to get better every day. We've had an off season that we've had to introduce a lot of things to a lot of new kids in the program, having said goodbye to all the kids that we've talked about to this point. And so we constantly try and push and sell to our kids that we have to get better. We're visibly better than it was the day before, and hopefully that's all producing that first win. And if we can get that first one, hey, we're off and running. Like I said, it's not going to get any easier after week one, and not to say that week one's going to be easy, but it's not going to get any easier on us. So we like to think at that point we're starting the process of becoming battle tested and hopefully taking steps towards the IHSA playoffs near the end.
Well, thanks so much, Coach, for taking time. Good luck Friday night. We look forward to seeing the Boylan Titans this year.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
We've been talking to Boylan head coach John Caccitore. For the StatelineSportsHub.com, I'm Dave Schmidt.